All right. Welcome to another amazing episode of the Drew Sutton Leadership Show. Today's spotlight episode is about Joe Rockey. Joe is a dynamic force in business innovation and a world-class consultant and an international best-selling author. Whew. As the mastermind behind Elite Business Conversation, Joe specializes in transforming businesses into self-sustaining powerhouses, freeing owners to focus on their dreams while their enterprises thrive. Joe's groundbreaking book, Casino Sales Master, Proven Systems to Beat the Odds in Sales and Life, and its accompanying coaching course have revolutionized the sales industry by teaching businesses worldwide how to sell the right way. By shifting the focus to relationships over outdated and aggressive techniques, Joe empowers his clients to cut through the noise and build sales strategies that endure. When he's not leading transformational business adventures, Joe takes training to the next level, hosting corporate workshops on luxury cruises to the world's most stunning beaches. A believer in the mantra that sales will heal the world, Joe is committed to helping individuals and organizations unlock their full potential, one conversation at a time. And so with that, welcome to the show, Joe.
Thank you for having me. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah, man. I'm super pumped. So we met at E-Liances, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard your pitch. For those that don't know, E-Liances is a more elite, it's a more elite networking group for coaches and entrepreneurs that have already kind of reached a certain level of success. Anyway, Joe got up there and he said, I do cruises. I do corporate training on cruises. And I was like, I know who I'm hanging out with during the breakout session. I love it. All right. Well, we're going to get that into the show. How do you get on a cruise to train your team? But before that, everyone has to pass the gauntlet. Here goes. All right, Joe, coffee or tea?
Neither.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never gotten that answer. Are you a water guy?
I drink water or alcohol. That's it.
Clear alcohol or colored alcohol?
Beer.
Nice. I love it. What about mushroom coffee? I'm sure that your email is as packed as mine with that.
No. If it's black, it's Guinness. That's the only thing that's entering into me as far as liquid.
All right. I'm a Guinness man myself. All right.
I love it.
Mountains or beaches?
Beaches.
I kind of figured that was beaches with the cruises.
Yeah.
Deadpool or Wolverine?
Oh, that was a great movie, wasn't it? I'm on Team Deadpool.
You're on Team Deadpool. Actually, yeah. I'm a Team Deadpool guy myself. I have two 14-year-old boys who worked at the local movie theater, and they were like, "Dad, can I watch it?" And I was like, "No, you don't need any more help with that joke."
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I have a 3-year-old. Like, when did we start breaking into that department?
Well, so we watched John Wick like a couple years back. Straight gun violence. I was like, yeah, sure, let's make it happen. But the content of Deadpool and Wolverine is a little more mature, right?
Yeah.
And so finally, they wore me down. It was like a 2-month discussion. I was like, fine, we're going to go watch it. But here's the deal. When we get back home, I'm going to break down every joke that was in that movie, and we're going to talk about it. And if you have ever seen a 14-year-old embarrassed, it's fantastic.
That's great.
Yeah, it was fantastic. All right. Up in the ante here. Is golf a sport?
Yes.
It is a sport, but there's no active defense. I digress.
That's fair, but anything that's outside and you end up sweating technically should be considered a sport.
So sunbathing.
If you start sweating, yeah, it's a competition in its own right. It's a different one.
I take a step back. It is a competition. All right, and the last and by far the most controversial is does pineapple belong on a pizza?
Yeah, pineapple pizza can be good if you put the right kind of spicy ham on it.
Yeah, that is a remarkably polarizing question.
Really?
All right. Yeah, people are violent in both directions typically.
I'm gonna say I don't think I'm passionate about it. I just know I like it. If I never had it again, my life wouldn't end. But if I had the choice, I would take it again.
Yeah. Me too. We're a Hawaiian pizza type of a family. Well, the parents are, the kids are very much not. So even with our own family, I find the division occurring.
Isn't that awesome? How you can see I'm one of 3 kids. Every single thing basically went on a 3-2 split, no matter what. And the 3-2 always changed, but it was almost everything was a 3-2 split.
Yep.
So,
Yep. 100%. Yep. Okay. So this is the Drew Sutton Leadership Show. I ask everybody to comment on a law of leadership from John Maxwell. For you, let's see here, we have not done the law of sacrifice in a long time.
okay.
The law of sacrifice says a leader must give up to go up. You have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean that's 100% fact of life. Where you see it a lot in the corporate space is people who are unwilling to effectively train their replacement. Because
Mm,
there's sacrifice. Literally, you're training someone to do your job, but you're also willing to be vulnerable in the fact that they might be better than you at it. So, are you really okay with training potential competition for your position? And there's a sacrifice inherently within that. But the real reality is, if you're not able and or willing to do that, you're also locking yourself into this position that you can never climb or change within the company. So, yeah, 100%, I agree with that.
I love it. Yeah, the willingness to be the dumbest person in the room. So I have an engineering background. I used to be a chief engineer at Lockheed, and literally my job, I saw my job to be the dumbest person in the room. If the other people weren't better than me, and that was it. The first year it was hard, but after that it was really comfortable because you look at everybody around the table and be like, "Yep, you guys got it. This is fantastic."
Yeah,
I love it.
it's actually it's one of the things that when we first started our consultancy firm, it was like hard to accept that because as a consultant, regardless of what the industry is, you're hired to make a change and make a growth, right? But
Yep.
normally, where you make the best questions are the painfully stupid, obvious foundation questions. So, like, why do you guys call it this? What does it actually do? And when you get so ingrained in the how you do everything, you can really lose sight in what the clients get from you side of the fence. And revisiting those questions so often will open up the gateway that was blocking that relationship between the business and the clients. And that's really what your job as a consultant is to fix anyway. The relationship between the clients and the business, or the relationship between the employees and the business, depending upon which kind of consultant you are. But that's basically what your foundation is. And asking stupid questions is the way in which you do that.
I think that's going to be your level up statement of the day, and we're only
Oh, that was early. I want to have more
we're
of
only 8
that.
minutes in.
I
Yeah.
want the
No,
green mushroom that just goes rapid fire the whole time.
no, I love that. The idea that there's the business entity, and then like you have the business entity, your employees, and your customers, and they're all those interactions. That is it's a great image in my mind. I like that a lot.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
cool.
And like so many people mess up, especially the smaller your business is, the thinking that the relationship between the employees and the business is the relationship between the ownership and the employees. It is not the same thing. Your individual relationship with your people is different than the relationship they have with your business. That is so paramount that people mess up all over the place. And it's part of the reason you have so much chaos in the labor market right now. But that's a digression.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull on that thread later. So stick around if you're interested in about the chaos in the labor market and how to fix it. But first, I want to go with this book that you have
Mhm.
sitting around behind you, Casino Sales Master.
Oh,
Do you
wrong
work
side
in
of
the
the
casinos? Oh, where? I mean, yeah. Talk to me about the title. Talk to me about what's in the book. Why should I buy that book and read that book?
Yeah. So, a lot of companies who hit the super elite status, when
Mm,
your product is infinite and beyond, you have this problem of how do I actually get it out to the world and let them know how hard this is, right? And
yeah.
that's where it is in my sales system. I know there's a ton of amazing, great sellers out there. Ziegler, Sandler, Dale Carnegie, they're all
Mm,
elite in the way in which they train people to sell. But the one area that everyone fails in, because 97% of people doesn't know how this works, let alone how to teach it, is how to get that person across from you to instantly want to see you succeed. And
mm.
that is a completely revolutionary, not even science, but way of going about sales.
Okay.
And my thought process was, well, how can I really articulate how meaningful and massive of a hard challenge this is in a title, which is ultimately what your question here is. Why is it called Casino Sales Master? I was like, well, I could do something like exotic. I can sell the light bulbs on the Empire State Building, or like snorkeling down in the Great Barrier Reef, or something crazy. But I was like, I need something more universal, something that every culture on earth knows that it's rigged, it's hard mode, it's super impossible.
Yeah.
And it's a casino.
Yeah.
Every person knows the casino always wins. They literally rig the games so you can't make money in them.
That's right.
But my sales system does. I can walk into any casino on the super hardest sales environment in the world and have them want to pay me. And instead of it just being a dry textbook, I teach people that system through a lot of different examples, but the casino floor being one of them. Hence the title Casino Sales Master.
I love that. So, so let's say I have a small business. Let's say I have a medium business, because you work with businesses that are like 30 to 40 employees. I think maybe you go down as low as 10. Like, what size company should I be?
So I'm all over the place. That's
right
the
now?
cool part, is everyone needs to know how to sell. Sales is its own industry. For our consultancy firm, they tend to be smaller amount of employees. But when we're talking about going in and doing the corporate trainings or the people who are coming along the boat to learn, there tend to be larger companies. So literally, I touch the full gamut of company size across the board. And that's the cool part about doing sales correctly, because when you're doing it correctly, you're truly building a relationship. And it doesn't matter what you're doing, a relationship is required. So once you've mastered that code, again, 97% of people don't know how they form their own relationships. So once you crack that code, the world starts looking a little bit different, including the way you look at, your ideal prospect and stuff like that.
No, I love that. One of the things, I mean, there's so many things that I'm trying to contain myself to pull all the stuff you just said in those few words. One of the things that you said is that essentially every company is primarily a sales company. It's not a business if sales isn't occurring. And that sales is between you and the people you're building relationships with. So as an engineer, I think Michael Gerber talks about this in the E-Myth. We have this entrepreneurial seizure where we're like, oh, I could do roofing, software, whatever it is. Yeah, you technically you're maybe one of the best in the world at that. But you have to be able to communicate that value through a relationship. So before you can communicate the value, you have to be able to walk into the room and have the trust in the relationship. All right. So without giving away the farm, without telling the secrets behind the slot machines here, what's your best piece of advice from the sales master?
Well, I mean, I don't hold it back, because literally when I do a free workshop, I tell people the answer. And the thing is that every single one of us, regardless who we are, have scars of trauma all over us. And they're not like burn marks where you can just see on someone else, but subconsciously you do. You instantly can pick up on them, because when you had the things early in your life that you didn't like, especially the bigger ones, you were responded to from others in various different ways. To kind of give the big common three: you were either yelled at, it's your fault that you caused this problem. You were either instantly try to have the problem solved for you, so you never got to do it, or you were ignored and neglected. Those are essentially the big three categories. There's blending and there's other choices, but those are essentially that. So as a result, internally, you are always looking out for, if someone's going to react like that, I want to push them away as a natural process. This is before you even add on the default setting, people lie to salespeople. That's its own. I literally give talks just on that. But you push away because you're seeing their trauma within you and how they're going to react to you, and you don't want to respond that way. There is no universality between people in that department. Some of us are more triggered by one thing or another. So there's no universality. What the true skill set is being able to remove your own scars. And just like you remove fat from working out, you put in a lot of time and effort and discipline. That's the regimen that we teach people both in the book and in the sales course on an ongoing basis, so that people will walk up to you, they'll stop lying to you, and they'll want to see you succeed. Because starting point, you've just removed the friction that every interaction has before we start. If you think about your life, and this is true to every single person watching, there's probably about 6-ish people that you will share anything with without reservation, without fear. And all 6 of those people went through your own internal process of getting them to be deemed worthy to you. Part of that is you making sure you're not going to get burnt, pushed away, from what you've experienced in the past. If you can erase your indicators of why you're getting pushed away, you can accelerate through someone's process. And it's like, I don't know why, man. I just connected with that guy. It was just awesome.
Yep.
Well, this is part of how you do it. It's a science. It's a training module. It's continual. So that's not giving away the secret sauce. It's work. We teach people. And like I said, in our free seminars, I walk through 3 of the 7 drills we do in the seminars to start to teach people to it. So I don't believe in hiding what your secret sauce is. I let people know, I introduce it to them, and then they benefit from it. And then eventually they want to get the full-blown experience rather than just a part of it.
No, I love that. I love that. So, one of the things that I like most about that is I've heard so many sales cycles that are basically like, you need to profile the person that you're talking to. You need to figure out their words that they need to hear. And that's where we all kind of are like, I hate sales. But what you're saying is, right? What you're saying is a lot of the resistance that we're causing in this world is because of stuff that needs to be worked out of us. Right.
That's part of it. No, that's part of that. That's half of it. The other half of it is kind of what you're going into, what I call the 1960s sales method of just using people to get your commission. You got to overcome both of them. There is no such thing as a universal sales script. Sure, there's processes you got to go through and an order that's more beneficial than other orders.
Right.
Not reinventing the wheel there. Again, all those other elite sales companies I mentioned before, they know it. They use different terminology for it, but they all basically say the same thing in how you go about doing that. But the key thing is you have to realize it's going to be a relationship. Everything is going to be a little bit different. And the reason this person is in front of you isn't because we think they're a visual or kinetic, because we think that they're in this personality type or that. No, they're in front of you because they have a problem and they believe you might be the solution. Now let's figure out if logistically that's the truth or not. When you approach sales in that different area, it's a completely different conversation.
I love it. So what's it like when folks work with you? Like, tell me a story about, how fast you can help people kind of overcome this, or be at least, because it sounds like you have to do a certain amount of push-ups yourself. I'm not saying you have to do push-ups. It's not a physical activity, but you have to do the exercises, right?
Yeah.
How fast can you come in and help me? Let's say I'm a 10-person or 15-person company. We got a great product. Our conversions are just really low, or we can't get in front of prospects. How fast can you come in and do some work with me? Of course, disclaimer, these results are individual and not result in blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Yeah. And it also depends on how broken you are in the first place. So a lot of the times when I come in to help a company in that capacity, we're looking at 2 different sets of relationships we start with. The first being the relationship with the business and the prospects. The second being the relationship with the business and the employees. And people bring me in to fix the sales problem, but normally I had to start with the employee side. And the reason for that is that so often within the currents of a company, people's incentive are not lined up in the same direction and often very contrary to each other. So even if you get success in one department, you're going to get friction from another and it's not going to work. One of the most common things you see all over the place in corporate America is you go do this big ad push and it doesn't work. So then what you have the marketing people complain, well, it's because the salespeople couldn't convert. You have the salespeople say, no, it's because the marketers sent us the wrong people, or the product wasn't able to fulfill its promises. Long story short, it's all blame and chaos. And here's a secret sauce of how to do this. This isn't a new or revolutionary idea that we implement, but we implement this in every single company. We take every single position, regardless of what it is, and if it's not directly correlated to revenue, being either marketing, sales, or product, we figure out how to outsource it. And then the next thing we do is we recreate the entire map of what is the client's experience from they have no idea who we are to fulfillment and all your post-fulfillment steps thereafter. We break that down in its very infinite detail. Then every position that gets created from that point is a specific segment, actionable part of that journey. So therefore, it's literally an assembly line. You do this, the next person benefits, you do this. You incentivize people based upon the success of their actions. And long story short, as long as you use a little bit of common sense and knowing how personalities work, and you built the position so that they are capable to be with the right personality or a personality type, they become the easiest thing in the world to recruit for, the easiest thing in the world to incentivize people for, because this is my personality type. This is what I want to do anyway. Perfect. Not everyone on the roster is a left tackle. Some of them are receivers. Some of them are quarterbacks. That's what you need. So therefore now, boom, everyone's incentive is to push the ball moving forward. Because I've now fixed that, now I know that everyone's on board for helping it. It's amazing that once you align the internal workings, how much easier the external workings. So in terms of if I'm just doing the external and the internal is broken, that's not normally going to be a good client relationship. I'm not saying you have to have everything lined up the same way I said, but the experiences can happen very quickly or not. It all depends on how receptive you are. But if we're talking about just an individual salesperson who says, I want to learn to become better at sales, we see that turnaround within 6 weeks of doing regular with the course easily. Most people stay a lot longer than that, but that's the starting point we're going to see it. And then in terms of a total business transformation, it's going to depend upon your size, but that's typically looking at a 24 to 36 month type of engagement.
Yeah, that makes sense. So where do the cruises come into this? I think we all want to have some fun. I think we all look at our profit at the end of the year and we say, I'd rather not give this to Uncle Sam. I'd rather give it to my employees. I'd rather build my team if I was going to have to pay this tax burden. So why'd you start in cruises? And then how do you use cruises to hyper jump or to hyper speed the transformation process?
Sure. So the cruises come into play for this. I have created 27 different businesses in my life. Woo. And getting that employee motivation part figured out is really, really hard. There's basically 20-ish different motivation factors someone can have. That's a human being thing, of which most of us are internally fluent with about 5 of them or so. Now, if you think back to any of the worst boss experiences or boss employee relationship experiences you can ever see, normally there's a lot of bad things moving on, but almost always it's because the employee's languages of motivation and the boss's language of motivation had zero overlap. So they didn't know how to reach each other or connect with each other or whatever terminology you want. That's the fundamental starting point. So part of the reasons of creating the Elite Business Cruise is that they connect upon all 20 of them. So even if you have that client or employee that's hard to reach and hard to connect with, you put this carrot in front of them. Well, now they become the best employee ever. Now they do want to show up for meetings on time. Now they do want to buy in and do this extra stuff, because you look at all the different, I'll hit some of the big ones that people are really bad at in America in particular. Appreciation. Most people, you get appreciated the first time you learn how to do something. You learn 2 + 2 is 4. Good job, Billy. Yeah, we love you. You mess it up 3 years later in 2nd grade, you only get yelled at for it. Right. Everyone expects you to know it in algebra, but you never get appreciation for it again. But most positions in this country are you're doing the same thing you did last week. It might not be explicitly that verbatim, but basically it's what it is. So it becomes really easy and natural for appreciation to be lacking. By the way, it's free to give. You can do it all the time in any relationship in your life, but it's so incredibly powerful. So an Elite Business Cruise, obviously, not only am I appreciating you, we're bringing a +1 on board, which hits one of the other major motivational factors that businesses, quite frankly, now are afraid to attack, so they don't even try to, which is the personal side of your employee's life. It's a lot easier just to punt that problem and not let lawyers get involved. But if you try to neglect and ignore what's going on at home with your employees, you're just setting yourself up for failure. So we know that, you're asking your employees to put a certain amount of themselves into your business and to buy into your business. But if there's no one on their home side that recognizes why, it's like, I don't want you working there 80 hours a week. Go find somewhere else where you're not putting this much time, so you don't come home exhausted all the time. But if it's like, a couple times a year, they put us on a cruise for free. Yeah, you could go do that. Go have fun. And the amount of buy-in you get from your employees radically changes. And that's just 2 of the 20. This was built to solve that problem. The other thing is, it really attacks the cliffhanger you said in the beginning of this show, which is that the labor market's a mess. People are leaving businesses for less ever before, for really marginal changes. And if you give your employees this employee benefit of being on a cruise that has your +1, the all you can eat, the premium deluxe package, it really goes a long way. Not to mention you're going to some of the best destinations in the world. And then what we do at Elite Business Cruises that makes us different than your run-of-the-mill cruise like Royal Caribbean or some of that is we put world-class trainers and speakers on it. So therefore, you get a tax deduction. That's awesome. But you know that your people are getting extra value from your employee benefit. It's not an employee benefit we hope they never use like Medicare or like medical insurance. We hope that you actually use this and get the most out of it. Go have fun. Be in Aruba, wherever your cruise goes, enjoy it. And then you take all this knowledge you have coming back from us. And the companies that get the most value out of this are actually the ones who have it essentially as an ongoing carrot on a quarterly basis. Hey, for this quarter, whoever sells the most, the top 40 people, you get to go. Or whichever team has the least amount of complaints about it. If you're in like building a SaaS product or something, the least amount of errors generated by those programmers, you guys get to go. Guess what? Your products become a lot better. Your revenue becomes a lot higher, and it's a win-win for everyone. And not to mention 4 times a year, you're on a boat. It's really good.
No, I love that. So I grew up in corporate America. I did the defense contractor thing, so I'm very familiar with the multi-layers of leadership. The golden handcuffs have really tarnished. Because of my age and kind of where I came into the workforce, I've been about 2 years behind almost every removal of a benefit. So like, I remember the first time they sent me overseas. It used to be if you flew for the company, you always flew first class if it was over 8 hours or something like that. So then they took that away. So I had a 36-hour flight and I was like on the back row, like crammed in like this. It was not, and they're like, no, but we give you an extra day to get over jet lag. I'm like, that is not the same.
No.
And even like 401k benefits and pension benefits and like even the company Christmas party. Like I remember I moved to one company and everybody was like, you're gonna love the Christmas party this year. And I was like, cool, because it was always at this one guy's house and he was a senior manager, and he just spent a lot of money and everybody just had a great time. Anyway, he was like, well, the lawyers got involved and it's been a tight year, so we're just not going to do the party. Right. So like the leaders who grew up, they were at the bottom rung, they put in their time, but they also got all those benefits, and their 401k and their pension and all that stuff was taken. Like my first child cost me $50 for her whole birth, like the whole process. We were in the hospital for 3 days. Might have been a week actually. Anyway, it was a great experience. Second set of kids cost me about $3,000. They were twins, $3,000. Third kid, we were in the hospital one day, $14,000. Right. And those little like eroding of the little benefits, the guys that are at CEO level making the decisions, they're like, I don't see why these people aren't loyal anymore. Well, I'll tell you why we're not loyal. The benefits aren't there anymore. Like they used to be there. But when I travel, I have to fly coach. When I travel down to Nashville, I live in Kentucky, so Nashville's a down for me. When I travel down to Nashville, I have to take my own personal car, and then I have to like you nickel and dime me on everything. Like all the benefits that used to be there in corporate America that were like the heyday of the 90s, they're all gone. And then people are like, I don't understand why these kids just don't appreciate life anymore. Like,
that's part. And the other part, and this is what I love about the cruises, is it hits upon the trend that people do want. They want the experiential. So the fact that the cruise is an experience within itself, it really, like I said, it dives into it. And you're 100% right. But if you look at the joys of this, is that most of our clients are doing this as an earned benefit. So it's a reward that you get into. And internally, it's basically free to try, because you know how much the price of the ticket is. So you know how much it's going to cost. And I'm going to use sales because it's the easiest one and everyone has them. You know how much profit you make off of every unit your people sell. Just make it that the next or net profit is more than the price of a ticket. You're guaranteed profitability before you leave. And now your best salespeople are loyal to you. They do want to go the extra mile because guess what? if the answer is, you guys have to sell 20 just to keep your paycheck or whatever, but if you sell 35 in the second quarter, you get to go on the cruise. You might not get everyone at 35, but you're going to be a hell of a lot above 20, even from your ones who are barely straggling there. And that's what happens. It's natural incentive in human nature. And because it's earned, you can make it that you're always getting the benefit from it. Again, you can do this on product side, sales side, market. You do with any element of your company, and make it successful. And obviously the tops and the C-suite leadership programs, we do those too. So really, in terms of the benefits a corporation gets from it, they're limitless. And more importantly, I'm not having to now figure out how to buy a multi-million-dollar program to try to replace this risk of this tier of employees leaving, which I fundamentally believe is the true reason AI is accelerating. It's because of a labor market chaos more so than the actual need for the quarter of a second faster, AI response.
No, I will say, yeah, I've seen this as well. When we came back from COVID to working in the office, the water cooler conversations, which used to be 15 minutes. I mean, it happens. It's the cost of relationally doing business. It's fine. Yeah. But they stretched out to an hour and a half because people had not seen each other for like a week, and then they came back together, and then you're wasting all this time. But I think part of the reason is they haven't seen each other, but part of the reason is there was a lack of urgency. There's no win. Like I can work or I can kind of loaf, and there's no, my bonus next year will be about the same. My performance review or improvement will be about the same. My promotion cycle will be about the same. But if you throw a cruise on there, that gets really exciting. It's really exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially said, like the ones who do it on the quarterly basis are the ones who dominate. That there's just no way around that. They get the most out of it. Now, again, it's not even necessarily, I don't want to diminish my own product here. It's not even the fact that we're giving you the world-class training. It's the I earned it to get it there part of it. And that motivational factor normally is higher on people's list than the desire to learn. Not to say it's everyone's, because there's certainly a lot of people who want to come just for the learning. But the I earned it, I get recognition for it, I get appreciation for it. I get to show my family about it. This is why we do it, or at least you're plus one. Some people do the extra tickets and put their kids on board too or not. That's a you call. But like I said, that's how we go about and do it. And it is a wild win for everyone across the board there.
No, I love it. The other thing I love about it is that not only you're going on a cruise and getting the deluxe package, but you're also intentionally doing the personal development side. I've been to some corporate retreats that are about fun. They're about experience. And every time I've left one of those, I was like, something like, it was fun. I did get to know the people better, but I don't feel fundamentally changed because of the event. But if you were to artfully weave in that higher level training so that I come back improved, I think Richard Branson says it. The question is not, what if I train my people and they leave? The larger question is, what if I don't train my people and they stay? Right.
Yeah, that part is certainly challenging, but we particularly focus upon the first part of not having them leave in the first place, and then also having the best people come to you, because you've done a really good job outlining the fact that these benefits are leaving everywhere, and that you are seeing the cream of the crops rotate more and more because there's less tying everything in. And I get why companies wanted to take this away. This is part of the logic in why we built Elite Business Cruises, because you don't want to have the risk of it doesn't work and it was a waste of money. This is why you rig it so it's profitable before you even get on the boat. Again, I sold a book about casinos rigging things. I know how to talk about it. I know how to do it. This is how you can do it within your own company. Again, I walked you through the easiest process there. It's a win-win. Like, hey, this whole division just, say you're a bank and for some reason your New York office is really struggling and we can't get why. It's because, well, they're not converting people. People don't want to be in there. They're pulling their money out of that particular branch or whatever. Well, you know what? We're going to do a regional wide thing. Every bank that gets above X amount growth, they get a go on this. Well, guess what happens? That bank isn't your worst providing bank anymore. Now it's one of your better locations. This happens with incentives. Now, granted, there's always going to be some people who just flat out aren't capable of doing their position. That's a different problem. But incentive is a huge factor.
No, I said this all the time. Again, I was an engineer, right? And I used to say, you're paying me literally to be smart. That's literally why you're paying me.
Mhm,
Don't treat me like I'm stupid. Like I called it
mhm,
the chortle of the back room where they're like, oh, we'll change the incentive this way and then nobody will notice. No, we notice.
mhm.
We notice and we tolerate it until we can find a better position. But if you change as leadership, if you shift to that, how much can I give my employees? And how can I give them real incentives that touch them at every level? Um, the employees see that too. That is how you express love, not by a rah-rah speech.
Oh yeah, because you're investing in them in a way that shows that they're worth being invested in.
Yeah.
And that's like I said, obviously dollars are important, but these extra motivating factors go so far beyond it. You know, do you want to get into a bidding war and try to keep someone on board for just an extra, $10,000 a year, or do you want to pay them, a $5,000 cruise? X and O's. What's more beneficial, and also, what do you think has a better retention rate? It's actually the cheaper option.
It's the cheaper option. It's a better retention rate. It builds relationships within the organization. Like if 20 of us or 30 of us go on a trip together, we're going to come back better friends.
Mhm.
Like we have shared experiences. And nobody else is going to be able to, no other company is going to be able to fight us on that one, right? Like this is
Yeah,
a benefit that makes sense for us to stay here. No, I love it.
that's
We are
exactly it.
we are running out of time. I would love to keep talking about why this works and more of your systems.
Sure.
But I wanted to leave the audience. Hey, listen, you're on the Drew Sutton Leadership Show for a reason. Go reach out to Joe, find out how you can rig your incentive structure so that you can be a success. But don't listen to me. I'm going to give you the last 30 seconds here to close out the show. What is there anything you haven't said, or what do you want our audience to leave with here?
I mean, man, I wrote a 9-hour book. There's a lot I can still say. But I guess I want to leave it with this is that every part of life is a relationship. And
Mm,
if you just kind of go through the motions without putting intentional thought into it and how to build your relations, both business wise and personally, they're going to become adrift. But if you intentionally put thought process in how to do it and a regimented system to make sure that you do, your life expounds and grows so powerfully and in so many different directions. It's really literally unimaginable. And that is what we help teach people do every single day in the Casino Sales Master course. And you can find that at casinosalesmaster.win. It is a casino, so casinosalesmaster.win.
CasinoSalesMaster.win. We will get that
Mhm.
in the comments for you guys so you can find it. I'm going to put a finer edge on it. I'll be honest. I do this to you all. You need to do this. All right. If you have an organization that's 10 to 30 people, 50 people, 100 people, you're looking at the market and you're saying, I got to keep top talent. I got to keep software engineers. I got to keep AI data analysts. I got to keep managers that know what they're doing. I got to keep workers that can keep the customer happy. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's your job. That is maybe your only job as a leader. And you need to find ways to really connect on every level with your team. What I love about this book and what I love about Joe is when we met, I thought it was going to be a conversation about sales tricks and tactics and doohickeys, right? It's about relationships. And the best way to build those is on shared relationships. And the newer generation knows it. The newest generation is coming on and they live experiences, not 401ks. So do it. Give Joe a call. There is a link in the comments right now. If you click on that, Joe will know you came from the Drew Sutton Leadership Show. When you're on the cruise, tell him you heard about him from the Drew Sutton Leadership Show. And with that, we are